Good day, sir. This is Group 2, and the title of our topic for this presentation is the second account, Cavite Mutiny. The 12th of June of every year since 1898 is a very important event for all the Filipinos. In this particular day, the entire Filipino nation as well as Filipino communities of all over the world gathers to celebrate the Philippines Independence Day. 1898 came to be a very significant year all of us. It is as equally important as 1896, the year when the Philippine Revolution broke out owing to the Filipinos' desire to be free from the abuses of the Spanish colonial regime. But we should be reminded that another year is as historic as the two 1872. 140 years ago, on January 20, 1872, about 200 Filipino military personnel of Fort San Felipe Arsenal in Cavite, Philippines staged mutiny which in way led to the Philippine Revolution in 1896. The 1872 Cavite Mutiny was precipitated by the removal of long-standing personal benefits to the workers such as tax, tribute, and forced labor exemption on order from the Governor General Rafael D. Izquierdo. Izquierdo replaced Governor General Carlos Maria de la Torre some months before in 1871 and immediately rescinded Torres' liberal measures and imposed his iron fist rule. He was opposed to any hint of reformist or nationalistic movements in the Philippines. He was in office for less than 2 years, but he will be remembered for his cruelty to the Filipinos and barbaric execution for the 3 martyr priests blamed for the mutiny. Fathers Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, later collectively called Gomborza.
Isguero used the Munity to implicate Gomborza and other notable Filipino known for their liberal learnings. Prominent Filipinos such as priests, professionals, and businessmen were arrested on flimsy and trumped-up changes, were arrested to prison, death, or exile. This includes Joaquin Pardo de Tavera, Jose Basa, and Antonio M. Regidor. It was said that the Cavite mountaineers got their cue from Manila when they saw and heard fireworks across the Manila Bay, which was really a celebration of the feast of the Lady of Loreto in Sampaloc. When the Archbishop of Manila, Rev. Meliton Martinez, refused to cooperate and defrock the Spanish court-martial on February 15 went ahead and maliciously found Father Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora guilty on treason for the investigating the Cavite Munity. 2 days later, the priest and the 3 priests were to put to death by garrote and bagumbayan, now known as luneta. Garrote was a barbaric Spanish method of execution which in an iron collar was tightened around the prisoner's neck until the death occurred. Sources of historical accounts of the Philippines from its discovery to 1903. About the author Dr. Trinidad H. Pardo de Tavera. Trinidad Hermenegildo Jose Maria Juan Francisco Parde de Tavera, Goricio, 13th April to 1857 of 26 March 1925, was a Filipino physician, historian, and politician of Spanish and the Portuguese descent. Trinidad was also known by his name, Ph.D. Pardo de Tavera, was known for his writings about different aspects of the Philippine culture. Dr. Trinidad H. Pardo Tavera was a tireless researcher, his full life of boundless intellectual curiosity. This led him to write abundantly about many and varied topics, among them medicines, health, linguistics, literature, philosophy, history, geography, anthropology, politics, government, economy, agriculture, society, industry, commerce, religion, customs, travel, immigrations, and other more.
Trinidad H. Pardo de Tavera, nephew of Joaquin Pardo de Tavera, and brought up in his household and that of Pedro Paterno, son of Maximo Paterno, another of those exiled to the Marianas in 1872. The account of Pardo de Tavera was originally written for the official report of the census of 1903 as part of General Survey of Philippine History, and it was published in Washington, D.C. in 1905. Source: a printed pamphlet addressed to the American Consul General in Hong Kong, signed by Jose M. Basa. One of the participants or victims of the Cavite Revolt, Jose M. Basa, survives, though it is not precisely a historical document. It is a printed pamphlet addressed to the American Consul General in Hong Kong, signed by Jose M. Basa, Doroteo Coros, and A.J. Medina, and dated January 29, 1897. The pamphlet attacks Spanish abuse and misgovernment in the Philippines and asked the consul to request American intervention to force Spanish withdrawal from the Philippines, promising and concessions which is Americans may desire in return. Among the Spanish crimes narrated are the of execution and exiles of 1872, said to be due to prior intrigues and bribery of the government. The distance of Cavite to Washington, D.C. is approximately 13,784 kilometers. Evidence: there was dissatisfaction among the workers from the arsenal as well as the members of the native army from their privilege were drawn back by General Isicardo. General Isicardo introduced rigid and strict policies that made the Filipinos move and turn away from Spanish government out of disgust. The central government failed to conduct an investigation on what truly transpired but relied on reports of Isicardo and the friars and the opinion of the public.
The happy days of the friars were already numbered in 1872, when the central government in Spain decided to deprive them of the power to intervene in government affairs as well as in the direction and management of schools, prompting them to commit frantic moves to extend their stay and power. Allow Filipino priests to take hold of the parishes in the country, making them prey to rage of the friars. Filipinos during the time were active participants and responded to what they deemed as injustices. The execution of Gomborzo was a blunder on the part of the Spanish government, for the action served the ill feelings of Filipinos, and the event inspired Filipinos patriots to call for reforms and eventually independence. The four friars sent a friar similar in appearance to Burgos to stir up the prospective rebels under the name of the latter, and to distribute money among them. Pardo denies that there was any plot to overthrow Spanish rule and seize the Cavite Mutiny simply as an uprising due to the disaffection of the arsenal workers who had been deprived of their traditional exemption from tribute and the Filipino troops who sympathized with them. Conclusion. Two major events happened in 1872. First was the 1872 Cavite Mutiny, and the other was the martyrdom of the three martyr priests in the persons of Fathers Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora Gomborza. All Filipinos must know the different sides of the story, since this event led to another tragic yet meaningful part of our history, the execution of Gomborza, which in effect a major factor in the awakening of nationalism among the Filipinos. In the dedication page of his second book, El Filibusterismo, published in 1891, Dr. Rizal wrote, "I dedicate my work to you as victims of the evil which I undertake to combat." It is well to remember that the seeds of nationalism that was sown in Cavite blossomed to the Philippine Revolution and later to the Declaration of Independence by Emilio Aguinaldo, which took place also in Cavite. As for me, the 1872 Cavite Mutiny bolstered the stereotypical belief that Caviteños were the most courageous of my fellow Filipinos. Dr. Eusebio. References.